Welcome, everybody, to the Monday, May 19th Select Board meeting. Will you join me in saying the pledge?
It's to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so first up, we're going to open up the public hearing for the zoning bylaws and subdivision regulations. If somebody would like to make a motion to open the hearing.
So move. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. Okay, notice is hereby given to the residents of the town of St. Albans that the select board will hold a public hearing on Monday, May 19th, 2025 at 6:30 PM in the St. Albans Town Hall to consider for adoption the following proposed zoning bylaw and subdivision regulations pursuant to Title 24 VSA Chapter 117. The bylaws affect the entire town of St. Albans. The purpose of the zoning bylaws and the subdivision regulations are to provide for orderly community growth and to implement the town plan. The bylaws affect the entire town of St. Albans. The purpose of the Unified Development Bylaws and subdivision regulations are to provide for orderly community growth and to implement the town plan. Changes include adding dwelling accessory to commercial use to the mixed residential commercial and village core districts, allowing the DRB to review setback waivers, increasing growth center overlay, lot coverages, increasing the height regulation for accessory buildings, defining limitations on time frame for non-conforming structures, updating access management regulations to conform with other town ordinances, updating definitions and other minor changes, grammar, and renumbering updates. A full draft of this text is on file in the St. Albans Town Clerk's office and on the town's website, www.stalbanstown.com, or by emailing Megan Sherlin, Director of Community Development, at m.sherlin@stalbanstown.com. You want to come up and give us a brief overview? Or
Would you like for me to go through all the changes or just like leave out the grammar and renumbering ones?
sure,
Okay,
yeah.
those are
we
kind
don't
of,
need that yet.
yeah. Okay, so to start with, we'll start with Article 4. The first two articles there are just some grammar things and adding some clarifying language. So the first thing there, 4.4 is the rural district, and that's updating the purpose. Currently, the purpose for the rural district says that it is for single family as opposed to multifamily residences. And with state statute, because there's portions of our rural districts that have water and sewer, we have to allow up to 1/5 of an acre zoning and at least duplexes. We've added more, allowed for more than that. So we're just changing that small sentence to just residential, allows for residential, however it fits with the code. The next thing there is that new use that we're adding, which is dwelling and accessory to commercial. We're adding that to the mixed residential district, the commercial district, and the village core districts. And then later on, I'll give a definition. Actually, I'll do it now, just so since we're talking about it. So we're adding a definition then for the dwelling accessory to commercial, which will be a residential use in a commercial zone as an accessory use, so long as it's incidental and subordinate to the commercial use. These uses could include, but are not limited to, apartments above commercial units, overnight security, or property maintenance personnel. The property must designate at least one parking space per residential unit. We are also adding into the mixed residential commercial district and the commercial district a note essentially that says that the DRB may waive the build-to zone maximums through conditions of site plan approval. And that is for situations where the condition of the site doesn't allow for a building to be within those build-to zones. And a build-to zone is, it has to be within 5 feet or 20 feet of the front property line. If there's stormwater in there or utilities and they're not able to put the buildings, then we're kind of running into an issue. So we're allowing the DRB to make those changes or allow for those changes through conditions. And then the last change for Article 4 is updating the lot coverages for our growth centers, because when we increased back in October, we increased our lot coverages, and then our bonuses were lower than the lot coverages were moved to. So we increased those from 77 to 90 and then 85 to 95. Any questions before I go on to Article 5? Yes.
So one quick one. On the backside on the definitions part,
Mhm.
what does it mean when it just says a residential use in a commercial zone as an accessory use, so long as it is incidental and subordinate to the commercial use? What does that mean? Or can you give me an example?
So in layman terms, it can't be the primary use of the property. The primary use has to be commercial, so it has to be smaller in size. It can't be what majority of the people go to that property for, it can't be for the residential use. It has to be
Okay.
for the commercial. So it would be like a secondary use to the area or to
So,
that
Okay,
parcel.
so space wise, it's not less than 50%.
Right now, yeah, we didn't put any size
Yeah,
because that
okay.
could
But that's
change.
one test. I'm just trying to just make sure I
Yeah.
understand. So, because it's not, and that's going to be under conditional use, right? Not
Correct.
Not
Conditional.
Okay. And the third and fifth one, right? Again, I read that and I think, right, just giving more flexibility, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Was it Muriel Weinberger? I know just had a letter to the editor a while back, and he just happened to be a book I was getting ready to listen to that, or supposed to read it, but I listened to him now, Abundance, and just very interesting in the first chapter or two, where it's all about housing. So now I'm reading these as opposed to the last time, and it's kind of like that's increasing
Yeah.
their ability to build
Yeah.
or making it more difficult. So most of these, as I was reading them, are things that should make building easier, right?
Sort of
There's
aiming
one or
for.
two is, maybe I didn't understand it, but one or two are like, oh, maybe that makes it tougher. But it seems anytime you put a definition in on things, but so that's, yeah, good. Okay. Sorry, just wanted to mention that.
Okay, so Article 5, we are adding that in regards to non-conforming structures, we're adding the 50% value to the option or to the renovation portion. So right now we say you can rebuild if it's 50% or more damaged, or if it's less than 50%, you don't have to get the permit. We're adding that also to interior renovations. It's just matching the two sections there for new builds versus renovations of non-conforming structures requiring permits. We're changing the height of building accessory buildings from 8 feet to 12 feet because typically you're not going to get an 8-foot shed. Your roof height's not going to be 8 foot. And if it is, it's a pretty small shed. So if we're allowing 100 square feet with no permit, that 8 foot, it kind of limits those accessory structures. Article 6 is about administration and enforcement, and that's just a simple move to make it make more sense along the lines. It's moving the acting zoning administrator portion from 6.1 to 6.2, where it says the select board is able to appoint one. Article 7 was what I was actually referring to earlier, is about the non-conforming uses. We do not have a time limit for structures. We had a time limit for uses. So if a non-conforming use had been abandoned for 18 months or more, it was no longer grandfathered in. You could no longer do that use. We didn't have that specific statement for structures. And attorneys and AJ felt like it didn't give a parameter. So as soon as that structure was abandoned, it technically was out of code, but we want to give that window of 18 months or so to allow for the rebuild of that structure for lots of different reasons. Also, 7.3 states that we're going to change the lot served for a driveway for it to be considered a road, change it from 6 to 3. And the reason for that is to match our road standards ordinance. our road standards ordinance says that 3 or more structures creates a road, and then our UDBs said 6 or more, so we were just matching that so that all of our policies and ordinances make sense together. And then the last thing was changing the square footage of temporary structures from 50 up to 100 square feet, because we increased the permits from that a couple changes ago. Any questions before I move on? Okay. Article 8, we moved a paragraph about access roads back to Article 7 to have it be in the article that's about access. When we did the last go around, we labeled right-of-ways that serve are not on roads. So right-of-ways that serve 6 or more or 4 or more, depending on the thing, said B76 standards. That's not a standard for the state. It's either A76 or B71. So we're just clarifying that it's actually B71, which is essentially a gravel road. We also added in there that it must remain a private road. And then we created a new section for letter of credit. It was just kind of a floating paragraph. We didn't have a way for the DRB to say, according to section number this, now it'll be 8.4.4. They didn't have a way to credit that, so that's a simple fix. Article 10, camping vehicles, we're just changing that to say from a camping vehicle to 1 single camping vehicle, just to further clarify for storage on your property at your home. This does not refer to campgrounds that are approved for multiple camping vehicles. This would be for storage in residential areas, is what the specific standard relates to. And then the last one for Article 10 is the height restrictions for signs for home occupations. We took out the height restriction in that area because it's addressed in the sign section later and they were contradictory to each other. So we're just going with what the sign section says.
So the camping vehicle, that's for all zones?
Residential storage of camping vehicles.
That's not for sitting in somebody's yard hooked up.
It would be, yes. You can only have one. It just would be in one. Exactly to you. That's okay.
What's
right.
that?
So right now it says a camping vehicle may be parked on the property of its owner or with the permission of the landowner, provided the vehicle meets the district setbacks for a period of occupancy to not exceed 150 days within 12 months. So it says a camping vehicle, we're changing it to just 1 single camping vehicle. It's just
So it's
further
already in
clarified.
there.
It's already in
Means
there.
the
just-
same thing, but.
Right.
yeah.
Same thing,
Just
but it's a
clear.
little clarity.
House there. Is that allowed to be hooked into their septic system?
That's a question for the state. We don't regulate their septics, but we would only allow that camper to be occupied for 180 days.
And that's not,
Oh, you're saying.
You're right.
Are you talking about storage or are you talking about just being,
Just being there,
whether you're using it or not?
correct. So it's just clarifying. Right now it says a camping vehicle. We're changing it to 1
To
single
1.
camping vehicle. For 180 days.
they're just clarifying the A to 1. It's in there now.
Right.
Yeah, but nobody's really, it's more of a complaint thing, I think, than anything.
What? Okay.
Well, I don't think, yeah, I'll leave that alone. Continue.
All right. Article 11 is definitions. The first one we're changing is the maximum area for accessory dwelling unit to change from 30 to 40. That increases the amount of space and also matches the state regulations. We're adding a definition for bedroom, which is a room intended for sleeping with a window, closet, and door. And then the definition for dwelling accessory to commercial, which I talked about earlier. And then a few changes within the use chart to make sure that it completely matches the uses that are listed in each district. We renamed that St. Albans Bay overlay to the Village Core District. And then one of the uses, or really the only use that we're removing right now, is the equipment sales and services small, which a few versions ago, we combined the large and small together just to equipment sales and service. So we just took that list out. That's what I have.
Say a bedroom and room intended for sleeping with a window, closet and door. Is the door gonna go outside?
No, a door would like to close the door off for privacy.
What's the definition of a closet?
Um,
Does that have a door? Does the closet have a door?
no,
Closet doesn't have.
not according to the assessor's office, no.
Fast.
Yeah. So oftentimes people will wall off a closet. The assessor. Do what? Yeah, absolutely. It's not,
Where'd that definition come from?
can't be
Federal? From the state?
Has to be a wall.
for what? Yeah, it would have to be
Yeah,
walled
it
off.
can't be like a.
A
cardboard.
vanity. or
Yeah,
something,
it's
right?
from the assessor's
Handbook?
group. Yeah. Bill reached out to his group of people, assessors around the state, to see what everyone else uses.
So. Thing I have here. Yeah, bedroom. Intended for sleeping. So who makes that determination?
That would be determined by the zoning administrator.
Grandpa comes to live with you. You can't get up the stairs, sleeps in your office. That's illegal.
No, if you can sleep in you as a bedroom. Yeah, you can sleep wherever you want. It's just not counted, right? It's just not counted on your lister's card as a bedroom unless it has a window, closet, and door.
So your office can't have a closet in it.
Correct.
But it says, so you. I have a little problem with that because you're saying every room that has a closet and a window and a door is a bedroom.
That's how we've operated for years. It's just adding.
Widely
When
done.
we do inspections, that's how we identify bedrooms, is
Yeah,
window,
but it
closet,
says a
door.
room intended for sleeping.
You're getting into the weeds a little.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, you
there's-
can
there's-
use an office as a, like, you can use a
Yeah.
bedroom as an office.
I know, but there's plenty of houses, like I just went into some that have a closet and a door, like they're not a 6 or 7 bedroom house.
Just according to the assessor's office, the listers, that's considered a bedroom for the lister's card. Because you might not use it as an office, or you might not use it as a bedroom, you might use it as an office, but the next person that's purchasing it would or could possibly use it as a bedroom. They want to ensure the septic or the wastewater system matches the amount of bedrooms that is scheduled for that house.
Perfect. Is that it?
Mhm.
Do you need a motion for approval? John? Do you need a motion
Yeah.
for approval?
I make a motion to approve the bylaw changes.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
Jonathan, who seconded that? I didn't hear it. I should have known. That's why I didn't hear it. Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me now?
I sure can.
Thank you for all the work on the bylaws.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Like,
Looks good.
Yeah.
Motion to close, please.
Hello.
That was Jack.
Second, for that,
Second,
thank you.
Jeff.
Yep. All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Okay. Warrants and minutes. Well, let's do the minutes first. So in front of you, you have the minutes from May 5th in your packets. Somebody like to make a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, Brian, you have the general fund warrant.
I do. General fund warrant dated May 16th, 2025. Total amount is $72,135.20. Of that, almost half is for Blue Cross Blue Shield Health Insurance. Almost 20% is for line striping, and the rest are more of our regular, normal items. So with that said, I would make a motion to pass a general fund warrant for $72,135.20.
Second.
Perfect. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Jack, you have the miscellaneous.
Yeah. So I have an infrastructure development warrant for $5,000. SP and F attorneys, what are they doing?
That is for the Bronson Road purchase.
Oh. And industrial park warrant, which is mostly all electric bills for the street lights and sewage pump, $898.17. And stormwater utility warrant in the amount of $10,299.15, and it looks like mostly engineering stuff. Is that what that Fitzgerald Environmental is?
Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, I make a motion, we approve all three of these.
So I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Jeff, you have the
Yep, I,
three payroll.
since I think we have two payroll warrants. The first one is dated May 9th, 2025, and that is in the amount of $32,714.39. And the second one is dated May 16th, 2025. And that one is in the amount of $26,605.18. And I would make a motion that we approve these warrants as presented.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's the warrants. Public comment. No. Moving forward. We have that local emergency management plan.
Yeah, it's not so much as a plan, it's just updated contact information.
I see you revamped it a little bit.
Is that,
I see you revamped it a little bit.
we'll revamped quite a bit, yeah, yeah, but, yes. So,
Mm.
I should say Matt.
Anybody have any questions or comments on that?
It'll look good.
Okay, having said that, would somebody like to make a motion to approve and adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Perfect. Town manager's report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
First, it's really just a formality, but it's the fiscal year 26's municipal roads grants and aid program, just for us to apply for paving next year. We'd just like to make a motion to approve us applying for those grants.
I'll make a motion that we have Jonathan sign the roads grant.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And next, the just a very small addition to the animal control ordinance. That basically just allows our animal control officer, currently Jim Benson, to ticket for any dog that's not, it's roaming, is found to have, doesn't have a collar tag. So currently there's nothing in there that allows him to penalize that. So nothing on private property.
Currently, you can't. Interesting.
It was not outlined in the ordinance now.
Okay.
Although it would seem like you would be able to do that.
It would seem like common sense. It's been done.
Spell it out.
Mhm. It's kind of see why. Oh, so you have to make a motion. to
Yeah.
Accept that
Would somebody like to make a motion to add, what was that?
as a
one?
nuisance 3.
Add the nuisance 3.
And we can.
Just approve it as presented.
Perfect.
There.
Okay.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And just to finish up my report, we got our paving and bar stop lines, like stop signs and all that type of, those marks in today. Those, the awarded people will be announced in the next week. And my last thing is I'd actually just really like to do a shout out or actually implore citizens to reach out to their elected representatives. The CHIP program, Community Housing Investment Program or Infrastructure Program, is currently in limbo at the House, and it's a huge tool. It's basically project-based TIF, but it's a huge tool for a community like us. It's not likely to get a big TIF in the TIF district. Can be used by private developers as well as localities, and it would be the House's version of it. Let me reiterate that, not the Senate's, but the House's version of it. VLCT approves it, and also VTCMA, Vermont's City and Town Managers Association. We endorse that. It seems to be losing momentum, and we just had the conference Thursday and Friday last week, and we're right close to the finish line. And I don't think people understand how big of a deal this can be, especially for smaller localities. So please call your representatives, and I know Representative Dickinson's on board with it, but you know, wherever you live, please call your representatives, senators, see if we can't get it past S-127, the House version. So.
Perfect. Anybody have any other business?
Well, I was wondering about, there's been a lot of vehicles parked overnight at the electric charger. So I was just wondering if we could kind of monitor the electric usage and find out if
Yeah.
we need to turn the power off to it overnight or,
Started that.
okay,
Yeah. Yeah, and we left a note, or at least I left a note on one of the cars last week.
okay.
So yeah, we're trying, we're looking into how we can do it. Unfortunately, the software on it is not something we can control. So what we can control is turning it off. We leave it. So,
Hit breakers, what you do?
yeah,
So it's not.
39 and 41 farthest.
You don't have to. That's not like an app that you get on your phone and you pay for usage.
It is an app, I believe. I don't know this because I don't have an EV, but it's nothing that we can control. Yeah. Like they do it and they do it through it. We don't charge. But as long as you're here for town business or anything like that, we don't really mind for that. But
Right.
yeah.
And we're pulling in.
Yeah.
There's one car for sure that's been the most egregious.
Well, I know who it is.
Yeah. And they've had a note on the car. So if they continue to do it, we're gonna start telling people.
We talked about just,
I
it'd be great if
know-
you could shut off at
I know-
business hours,
Yeah.
you know?
Do we need, I know I hate to say this, but do we need some kind of a policy? You know, that way there we can say, well, you know.
It's
for-
enforceable and, yeah.
You know.
Yeah. We
Just come up with, it probably should only take one page.
Oh, yeah, be very, yeah.
At
If
some
that,
point,
Put the breaker.
that's what,
I know, but yeah,
That's what we've been
if you
doing,
did, so you do that, right?
Yeah.
And then they've been using it and they come down here, like,
Your car's on.
well, they come down here and tell, like, potentially, they're kind of in the right? Because you have no,
it is public property.
and
You know,
you
yeah.
have, they should be able to use it, like you
Yeah.
have something that we have a policy, or John has a policy that says, well, you use it. You know,
Yeah.
we conducting business down here, it's not free for all,
Mhm.
you know what I mean?
Just make it a formal policy, yeah. And a policy
I
is,
think you should have
I
a
don't know how
policy.
you- I don't know how you get, I guess it's a mindset thing where. You think you're getting for something for free, it's costing somebody else, so it's not for free.
Well,
So the idea that you're stopping me from stealing from you is odd. Like getting mad about that, but in today's world. I
Well,
get it.
that's, I know.
I get it.
it's
but-
assuming good faith, I think, and it's being
You know,
abused.
they
I
got
guess
this act.
is
Of course it is.
Yeah. Try to have higher hopes.
Yeah, I know.
No, no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, I guess we'll have to do that.
But
just to-
I think just to cover our own
Yeah,
behind, that way there, that, well, we did have a policy.
yeah. And because the policy was enforceable as soon as you guys pass it.
Right.
So,
Mhm.
And if we need to change it somehow when the fire department, they get one or.
Yeah.
Whatever. If we ever get one.
It's also an issue during the winter. If there's a car in the parking lot and someone needs to plow the parking lot, that car is in the parking lot, making it a little more difficult.
At that point, there's a parking.
Then we can tell.
Yeah.
Okay. Having said that. Anybody have any other business? More other business? Okay. The next select board meeting will be Monday, June 2nd, and the one following that will be June 16th. And the town offices are closed Monday, May 26th for Memorial Day. No executive session tonight.
Not on my end.
Huh?
Nothing on my end.
Good. I think we're good for right now. Having said that, would somebody make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.